Welcome to your latest edition of Everything Yesterday this morning. I'm going to go fast because I've got a lot. China has put out a notice to its citizens in the United States to pay close attention to security. The Chinese U.S. Embassy has warned its citizens in the country to pay close attention to their personal safety, citing a worrying security situation. It mentions specifically international students and employees of Chinese funded institutions among those at risk. There is much hatred against China in the United States, and many Asians face malicious attacks, seriously compromising the safety of Chinese nationals, was the statement that was on the embassy's website yesterday. My first question is, why do we have Chinese funded institutions in our country? I bear no malice towards Asian people. I bear malice towards the ineptitude of our own government allowing a communist country to fund and own anything in our nation. The Senate passed a cybersecurity bill amid fears of Russian cyber attacks. The Senate unanimously passed cybersecurity legislation yesterday that would require companies in critical sectors to alert the government of potential hacks or ransomware. The quote, Strengthening American Cybersecurity Act is a package of 3 bills and was sponsored by Gary Peters in Michigan. One of the bills requires companies to report cyber attacks within 72 hours and ransomware payments within 24 hours to the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, I think is how they say it. Another bill would update federal cyber laws to improve coordination between federal agencies and would require agencies to share cyber incidents with CISA. At a time when we're facing significant threats of Russian cyber attacks against our institutions and our allies, it's more important than ever, that the government has an idea of what those threats are. I'm going to be reading this legislation over the weekend. Anytime there's unanimous consent to pass legislation, it's not good for the American citizens. It's only good for the state. Russia plays the boogeyman, is an eerily familiar feeling to the Patriot Act after 9/11. And I'm very curious to see, based off of the stuff that's come out of the DHS recently and the Biden administration with regards to online domestic extremism, exactly what information just became free game to the government. Russia holds OneWeb rocket launch hostage, issues conditional demands. In its response to sanctions and growing tensions, Roscosmos is making a list of demands to its customer OneWeb, or of its customer, before it agrees to launch the company's upcoming mission. Dmitry Rogozin said that he wants assurances from OneWeb that the company's satellites will not be used for military purposes, and demanded that the British government, which is a primary shareholder, divest its stake in the company. If they aren't met, Roscosmos says it will roll back the project and the launch will not take place this week. This company is building out a massive mega constellation of low Earth orbit satellites to provide internet coverage from space, just like Starlink. I wonder if they'll give me internet coverage. This week's launch was supposed to carry 36 new satellites to orbit. Britain's Secretary of State, Kwasi Kwarteng, I think that's how you say the name. I butcher so many names on my show, it's fantastic. Said that the demands will not be met. There will be no negotiation on OneWeb. The UK government is not selling its share. We are in touch with the other shareholders to discuss our next steps. The British government became a major shareholder in 2020 when it invested nearly $500 million to help the company, to help save the company from bankruptcy. It's always funny when they talk about governments investing money. Where did they raise the capital for their investments? What is the return on investment for the shareholders from which that money was stolen? Is there free discounted internet for all of them? My guess would be no. But I always think it's interesting when they talk about government like it's a business, like it raised capital and there's a return on investment somewhere. But they are just thieves that steal money and allocate it somewhere else. A U.S. appeals court blocked Biden's Navy vaccine policy for COVID. A federal appeals court has delivered yet another setback to the Biden administration on a COVID-19 dispute, keeping in place a lower court order that blocked the United States Navy from considering the vaccination status of 35 Special Forces personnel in making deployment decisions. The Department of Justice said, quote, deploying unvaccinated service members jeopardizes missions. In court filings, the DOJ said the judiciary had made an extraordinary intrusion into core military affairs. The court said defendants have not demonstrated paramount interests that justify vaccinating these 35 plaintiffs against COVID in violation of their religious beliefs. This is the same Fifth Circuit Court that ruled against the Biden admin, since withdrawing COVID mandate for large employers. The court said as of January 27th, the Navy has discharged 45 sailors for refusing to be vaccinated against COVID. More than 99% of active duty Navy service members were vaccinated as of November. It is kind of unprecedented for civil courts to involve themselves in military matters, so it will be interesting to see where this one goes, for sure. Car makers shut factories and freeze sales I've got to take a drink of water. I'm so sorry. I've tried really hard not to do this. But I've got this tickle in my throat and it's driving me crazy. Okay. Car makers shut factories and freeze sales as invasion fallout spreads. 10 major car and motorcycle groups announced factory closures or frozen sales to Russia as the industrial fallout from the country's invasion of Ukraine spread on Wednesday. Porsche and BMW became the latest car makers to shut European plants because of a lack of parts from Ukraine. While Toyota, Mercedes, and Hyundai, which is one of the largest brands in Russia, said they would cease manufacturing in the country. Ford, Renault, and BMW have already closed their Russian plants. This is incredibly unfortunate because this severely hurts and impacts the workers of these organizations, not to mention their own profitability. In the name of what? The government telling you to hurt another government? Why would you cut off your own nose to spite your face? Couldn't be me. Do you think manufacturers of weapons are boycotting Russia or China or any of these organizations? No, they're selling to the highest bidder. So go out and get yours and take care of the people who work for you. It's amazing to me in the name of government how people will hurt everyday citizens. It's nuts. This one's kind of fun. A second NASA scientist tells us that somebody else is on the moon. The article opens with a quote from Neil Armstrong. Great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of the truth's protective layers. Did you know that the U.S. government classifies roughly 500 million pages of documents every single year? There's an article written by this same group called Black Budget, and I'll put it in the links in the description. You should check it out. Multiple NASA personnel have made some shocking claims about the moon. George Leonard, a NASA scientist and photo analyst who obtained various official NASA photographs of the moon, is just one of them. Although the photos are small and their resolution isn't great by today's standards, they show details that were huge. While Leonard published the identifying code numbers of the photos in his works to back up their source, it's still not clear if they're real, and their poor resolution only makes it worse. However, along with his verified credentials and his public statements, in addition to a statement from Bob Dean, it's hard to say whether or not they're telling the truth. Bob Dean was speaking at a conference in Europe. He served it's called SHAPE, the Supreme Headquarters of Allied Powers of Europe, and it's a branch of NATO, as an intelligence analyst. And he gave the public statement, quote, "Ladies and gentlemen, my government, NASA, which many of us say stands for never a straight answer, proceeded to erase 40 rolls of film from the Apollo program. The flight to the moon, the flight around the moon, the landings on the moon, the walking guys here and there, they erased, for Christ's sakes, 40 rolls of film of those events. Now we're talking several thousand individual frames that were taken to the so-called authorities, and they determined you do not have the right to see it. Oh, they were disruptive, socially unacceptable, politically unacceptable. I've become furious. I'm a retired command sergeant major. I was never famous for having a lot of patience. Y'all, they told us aliens are real last year and no one batted an eye. Sorry. They released the UFO stuff and everybody's like, the man in the moon shit, it's real. They're coming for us. Man, I can't breathe today. Okay, last one. House Dems fail to pass a bill banning discrimination against natural hairstyles. On Monday, I know this is everything yesterday this morning, but this happened on Monday. Your lawmakers voted 235 to 188 not in favor. Well, the majority were in favor, but of creating a respectful and open world for natural hair, or the Crown Act. It did not attract enough Republican votes to secure the supermajority needed to approve the legislation. The bill would specifically prohibit discrimination against those participating in federally assisted programs, including housing, public accommodations, and employment based on the texture of one's hair or hairstyle. According to a 2019 Joy Collective study, I haven't read into the study, but it says Black women are 150% more likely to be sent home from the workplace because of their hair compared to other women. It also found that Black women are 83% more likely to report being judged more harshly on their looks. My bill would eliminate an undue burden that Black women face every day, Bonnie Coleman said. The methods that Black women use to manipulate their hair are not only costly and time-consuming, but also damaging to their hair. Nobody should have to sacrifice their time, their money, and their health of their hair to comply with racist standards of professionalism. Y'all, this is 2022, okay? So I have been a hiring manager for 5 years now, and every single interview that has come in, I didn't look at their hair. I don't care what their hair looks like. I realize that there are discriminatory individuals in the world. I get that. But the fact that our congressional members are passing, like, it's completely subjective. How do you police this? How do you do anything about this? Is this a situation where, hello, look at this mop that's on top of my head. Do I walk into a company and be like, look, I want a job here? And if they don't give it to me, then I go back and say, oh, it was because of my hair. How do you police that? The idea that this is what our fucking politicians are spending time on is ridiculous. Go fucking do something important. Okay, I'm totally gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna have to edit all of that part. I'm not even gonna edit it out. I'm just gonna put it out there. Okay, this has bad words in it. I'm sorry. I love you guys. Like, share, subscribe. Don't share this one probably. I'm probably gonna get a strike for this one.